Hi, John the Van Guy. Problems with the MR2. Kept cutting out. It would run and idle okay for a while, and actually the times for doing that were getting shorter and shorter, and it would just cut out for no apparent reason. Initially, it started a couple of years ago when driving after about 2 miles. My son-in-law actually gave us a ring, said he's broken down, and that was about 2 miles from here, and so I had to tow him back. Now, since I've been looking after it, same things happened to me. Taking it for an MOT, 2 miles, and it broke down. I wouldn't start again. But if you left it for maybe an hour or more, and then started, it would start up okay. And then you could drive it a little bit, and then it would conk out again. So what was happening? Lots of things potentially come to mind. Sensors or whatever, something going wrong with the electrical circuit, something going wrong with the ECU and the messages from the igniter to the ECU. Change the coil, put a new coil in case there was a short in the coil, which maybe with warming up it was the short was showing itself, and everything was cutting out because of that. So change the coil anyway. The igniter, I did get a new igniter which actually sits under the coil, and couldn't get the new igniter to work, so I put the old one back. Anyway, so long story short, what was it? Well, it turned out to be the fuel filter. Yeah, the fuel filter probably hadn't been changed for quite a while, probably since 1993. That's how old this car is. And I'll show you where the fuel filter is. Most of you, your experts will know, but I'll show you. I've got a torch now. Down there, you can just about see it. You can see the top of it. The 17mm bolts go on the top and the bottom into these banjos, they call them. On the top and bottom of a banjo, you've got copper washers. Okay, so when the engine's cold, one of the things you do is simply open up your fuel cap, and then you undo those banjos. You'll find petrol will drip out for a bit, but don't worry about it, it'll stop. But be prepared for that. And there's holding it in place is a bracket, which is like a 10mm nut holding a bracket, so you've got to loosen that to actually take the thing out. It's a little canister which you can buy, they're not that expensive, and you slip the canister in and redo the banjos and the two 17mm bolts, and that's it. So did that, and guess what? It's been running beautifully. So I think that was the problem all along. When you think of the rationale, it would start up okay, fine, nothing wrong with the ignition, and it would run for a little while and then conk out. It also, if you accelerated, it conked out quicker. So what was happening? Well, obviously there was enough, when you get the fuel filter blockage, it's probably not completely blocked, and some fuel will seep through enough to actually allow the thing to idle the engine to idle for a while. But if you take it and you, of course, I'm accelerating, you'll find that you're obviously using more fuel, you'll use up the fuel quicker, and then you'll conk out. So it's simple rationale. And so if you have similar problems, before you get into all this heavy ECU electronics and swapping igniters and things, I would change the fuel filter. It doesn't cost very much, and it's worth a shot. And it worked in this situation. I'm not going to say it works every time, but it worked for now. And as far as I know, it all looks rosy. Yes, that's until I've got it all ready now, everything done. And what happened? I was losing water. And yeah, I had been losing water before, but I put that down to air locks in the system, because you've got the radiators at the front and the engine at the back. You used to get this with the Porsche. It's easy to get air locks in these things, so you've got to go through bit of a system to actually get rid of the airlocks. Anyway, I filled it up with water again, and what actually I found, I thought, I wonder, I'm having to put more water in than I expected. And looking underneath the car, about an hour later, there was water dripping from the radiator. So how do you get the radiator out? Well, the radiator sits here. Right, it was here, I've taken it out. These two things sit across the top. You'll see they're there and there. So you've got to take those off. Now the whole thing doesn't lift out. You've also got a fan attachment on there. That's the fan down there, and you'll see the bolts. And you undo all the clips to the electrics. So there's a little thermostat thing, not thermostat, switch on the side of the radiator. You've got to pull that out. I mean, these are always funny. They all seem to be slightly different. Usually it's a case of pushing down and pushing down on those clips, and then pushing down and pulling. On this one, you can see, you push that down, you can see that internal bit there releases, so you can actually pull it off. Well, that was, I forget what that was attached to, but it doesn't matter at the moment. That's not the point. Okay, what to do about this? Now, first of all, you've got to get the right model of MR2, I found. So putting the details in onto various search engines, when I was looking for the part to get another radiator, then it turns out this one is, if you put the number plate in, a Toyota MR2 Coupe W20 2-litre 16-valve SW20. So that's it, 1993. Engine 3 SGE, brake horsepower 158. Okay, I got that off one of these part sites, where you have to put your, obviously, number plate in so they can give you the right part. That was quite handy. Okay, but could I find a radiator? All these models are slightly different, and so anyway, so I think what I've decided to do is repair the old one. Now, what did I do with that torch? And I'll show you. Be a little bit better. Oh yeah, there's a torch. So you'll find that to get the radiator out, you've got to loosen the two top hoses. That's one of them. One's there, one there, and you simply to actually loosen these have very elaborate pipes. The two big heavy-duty stainless pipes run right onto the vehicle, and there's two bolts holding that, and there's a bolt holding that just there. That's just to give you a little bit of movement, so you can release the rubber pipe off the radiator itself. You can ease it off with a screwdriver or something, and that seemed to work. Then you've got to force it up a little bit. All it's doing is sitting in the bottom of the radiator has two prongs that sit onto those rubber grommets, and so all you should be able to just lift it up, but you can't lift it up too far because these things are in the way. But you lift it up enough so that you can push the bottom out towards the base, and then you drop it downwards, and that's how you do it. I found you've got to drop the radiator. Okay, so knowing that was quite handy. I did it by trial and error. I couldn't find anywhere where it showed you how to do it. But anyway, now how do you approach a radiator like this? Well, it's leaking, it seems, and I found the leak. If you see there, that's the vein, or that's the, do you call it the vein? Well, that's the bit that's actually leaking. These, I've taken out some. They came out quite easily. they're just in there to actually provide a large surface area to dissipate the heat, and you can actually pull them out virtually. So the important thing is just how do you seal that? Well, looking online, there's various ways you can do it. You can put solder in there, but I don't fancy doing that. Apparently you can use WD-40, might work. But what I'm going to do is the old school method of curling against itself and blocking. I've seen this done actually in the past years ago and forgotten about it. So using needle nose pliers, what I propose to do is cut this down and then curl it around itself like a toothpaste tube, and seal it that way. So you have to do that and that. The first thing you do, of course, is releasing these veins, and it's not quite easy to do. So you see how they're quite, you can just ease them up like that. So I use some of them up. No need to provide that big surface area to get rid of the heat. So that's what I've got to work, how to do that. So I'll split this somehow. Actually, it looks like there's two of them running parallel to each other. This one's above. So this is the one that's causing the problems. So what I'm going to do is try and fold this toothpaste tube wise, and then see if I can stop the leak that way. Apparently it's the old school method. Apparently in the military, in the desert, this is the sort of thing they used to do. So let's see if that works. Okay, I'll put you on pause now, and I'm going to play with this and then come back to you. I'll see if this works. Okay, I haven't tried this before, pausing. Well, look, I've just by using these long nose pliers, I've actually gone in, careful not to touch the one below, and then just twisted round, and you can see it's twisting okay. It's quite easy to do actually. Make sure it's well and truly compressed, and I'll have to do the same with this one here, and then fold it quite a few times until it's well and truly sealed, and then I'll try pushing sort of some pressure through it and see what happens. So it's exciting, isn't it?